Raging Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? That's up.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
The two greatest words that Cajun Nation loves to hear: Cajuns win. Yeah, that's right. Louisiana Raging Cajuns get a huge monumental road victory at Wake Forest. Final score, Louisiana 41, Wake Forest 38. First ever win for Louisiana in their football's history against an ACC opponent, and their third win against a P4 opponent. And in spite of the refs, in spite of the ejections, in spite of all the adversity, we finally got the monkey off our back in close games and pulled off this win. Anyways, we got lots to talk about tonight. We'll talk about stats. We'll talk about what happened today. We'll talk about what happened around the Sun Belt. We'll take your phone calls. We'll take your comments and questions. I'm Jerry, joined by Nick and Lane. Guys, can you breathe now?
Sounds like somebody's stepping on a...
That would be my dog.
Oh, okay.
In the background.
That figures. You know, when we got in this space beforehand and kind of before we go live, we have a second to talk in like the space. And I said it. I'm like, why am I pissed? Like, we just beat a P4 opponent, ACC opponent, but I'm pissed off, dude. And I think, look, we're going to go back and I know I'm going to review some of the tape. There were some play calls I wasn't crazy about. I don't think our defense played as well as it could have. I think our interior still scares me. I think, our interior defensive line is worrisome. But I have never watched a game where you had 4 defensive players ejected for targeting, and where at least 2 of those calls were beyond questionable. I mean, to me, if a guy is starting to lead with his helmet at the same time that and when I say lead with his helmet, I mean try to go for the tackle below the waist at the same time that a guy is sliding, you can't call targeting. You can't do it, because the player that is leading down to tackle him below the waist has no idea whether or not the guy is going to run through him or slide. So that pissed me off, number one. Number two, Wake Forest was holding the entire game, which I shared on X and showed a picture of one of our defensive linemen getting absolutely molested by an offensive lineman. Nothing called, of course.
Missed holes, missed face mask,
and
missed personal foul.
Holy, God bless me, holy shit. That roughing the passer call was worse than anything I've seen against Tom Brady. And Tom Brady was like the porcelain child of the NFL. Literally, as he's letting go of the ball, we're tackling him and get called in a crucial point of the freaking ball game for roughing the passer.
The ACC, and if the ACC, I know they don't watch our podcast and everything, but if they could hear me right now, I'm just going to say to the ACC, all of you that chose this officiating crew, you should not only be ashamed of yourselves, but to say that this officiating crew was good enough to coach a Pee Wee League game, it would be an insult to Pee Wee football.
Jerry, it's the
totally crap.
It's the
total
same
disgrace. Trash. Straight up trash.
It's the same league that last night overturned the call against Virginia Tech for a touchdown that should have never happened. It's the same people making those calls. It's the same people watching the freaking the monitors wherever they are, somewhere in Oblivion land, watching the monitor saying, yeah, that was targeting, when it was bullshit. It wasn't targeting in at least 2 of those calls. And that was absolutely not roughing the passer. And guess what's going to happen to that crew? Not a damn thing. It pisses me off that it had to come down to a guy missing a field goal for us to win that game, because we were 2 touchdowns better than Wake. Now, don't get me wrong. There were a lot of things we did. During that game that prevented us from going ahead further. There were some questionable play calls. There were some things we did defensively. I mean, our defensive. But again, you're down 4 freaking starters because of at least 2 terrible calls. I'm tired, Jerry. And I think that's why I'm so mad.
But you know what?
It's because this is inexcusable.
Okay. But here's the thing. Okay. I'm going to turn this. Obviously I'm up with the positives that we won. At the same time, what bothers me is that now you go into conference play with 4 of your main defensive starters. I don't even know what the rules are. Are they going to be able to?
I don't think so. Well, here's the good part, Jerry, because most of them got tossed in the first half of the game. So now they only had to sit out 1 additional quarter. So they're good for the first half of Southern Miss.
It shouldn't matter.
But
it shouldn't matter.
Here's the deal, Jerry. Let's be for real. If we can't beat Southern Miss down 4 starting on defense, then we have bigger problems than we thought. But it shouldn't matter. You're right. And we shouldn't be in this position to begin with. It's mind-blowing how bad it was today, because people get screwed. It's the life, somebody said the life of his G5. I get that. But when it's so obvious that even my TSAT fans are texting me going, WTF, I just, like, how do people not lose their careers over this? I'm not asking for preference. I'm not even asking. I get it. Sometimes the home team gets a little bit of home cooking, but holy cow,
that
Jerry,
was a Thanksgiving dinner of home cooking. That was turducken Christmas home cooking. That wasn't no complimentary Subway sandwich. That was a full meal.
Now,
that was a holiday meal.
Somebody actually said something about Almendaris. Man, I'm so glad somebody let him loose this week to kick the ball through.
Kenny!
Yes, thank you. Because that's all we asked.
Yes. But look, we had to vent for a second, because look, we've been in many games, and I can name quite a few where P4 officiating has screwed us, and it's cost us games. There's many. Okay, and don't get me started on Sunbelt officiating. I mean, we already have our own problems, but to make it that blatant on the road, when you and I knew, and we all knew that we were clearly the better team, when it comes to the point where you're ejecting players for clean tackles and ejecting players or throwing 15-yard penalties on roughing the passes when they're clean hits. We've talked about this in the past. What's scary about it, Nick, is the fact that the way we teach technique on tackling, they want to talk about safety of the sport and improving the safety of football. You put yourself in jeopardy if you're going to penalize somebody for tackling the right way fundamentally. So then what do? How do you, even Mike Desimo has said it a few times. We don't even know how to tackle anymore. We don't even know what are we supposed to teach? How do we teach technique if even if we do it the right way at the appropriate time, we still get flagged for a 15-yard penalty? No, this officiating crew was utter crap. They sucked, and every single one of them. I don't know. I know Chris Faber, former Raging Cajun player, said, if the Sun Belt can find a way to send a tape over to the office of the ACC or whoever to get those guys suspended, it needs to happen. That was utterly unacceptable. It was utter crap. And the fact that, again, it is an insult to Pee Wee football leagues for them to be able to officiate even a Pee Wee football game. That's how bad it was. They should be ashamed of themselves. And I'll tell you this, the heart and the resiliency of this football team to go on the road to a P4 opponent and beat them in spite of the officials. You know what? That's the resiliency of a Cajun right there, fellas. Resiliency of a Cajun right there, to be able to pull it off in spite of it. In spite of it. we have maybe a fifth or a quarter of the budget that Wake Forest does. We have a fifth or a quarter of the resources that they do. We don't have, they have more money than us. They have more resources than us, and we still went over there and got the W, baby. So they could throw all the flags you want. We're still coming out with a W there, and we're 3-1 on the year going into conference play against.
By the way, I got to give a shout out, and I see we have some guys from Tulane in, and we got a bunch of speakers. So you tell me when you want to turn it over to them, but Tulane looked really freaking impressive against USF today. And that's when we started seeing the way things developed in the first quarter, we're like, holy crap, like, okay, Tulane is that good. Because we've said it. We said Tulane is a really good team. And we saw what last week's game looked like. And then we saw what we started doing in the first quarter, and we're like, we're lights ahead of these guys. The only way they stayed in the game was because of terrible calls. That's the only way they stayed in the game. Now, again, our defense, we're going to talk about that. I mean, that wasn't great, but you're down 4 freaking starters because of bad penalty calls. I mean,
and we still found a way to win. And let me tell you something.
Found a way to win, man.
Look, I said last week after the Tulane game, you score 33 points against anybody, even in a loss, you put yourself in a better position to win football games. How about going on the road to Wake Forest today and hanging 41 on them? And we did it without even blinking. I mean, the offense today was that by far under the Desimo era was the best performance by an offensive team coached under Mike Desimo that I've ever seen. I mean, the way the rushing attack was great. The receivers, I mean, how about Lance Legendre? He gets the game ball from me offensively.
By the way, speaking of him, I love the first play call that he was involved in where he did and I don't know if it was in there. I don't know what it was. Was it a jet sweep where they tossed it to him? Whatever it was, it came out of the wide receiver slot, and I think it was a jet sweep. I mean, that's like the Taysom Hill. Somebody said, let's treat him like Taysom Hill. No kidding. Like, I want to see him under center, and even if he runs the ball, I'm good with that because you don't know what Lance is going to do. He's that talented. So I like to see that. That is some play calling that for Dez, I like to see today.
Look, he was a really, really good quarterback out of Warren Easton, and Warren Easton has some good football teams every year. And he was there. I mean, he was more of a, he really wasn't your game manager per se, but he was obviously full of talent. When he was at Warren Easton, he did everything. He ran the ball, he threw it. He was so dynamic, and I think to your point, you add that to this offense, especially with the fact that I said going into this week, we all three of us said it, run the football. Man, how about our rushing attack today against that ACC defense? I mean, we ran it down their throats. Bill Davis had a great game,
man.
I mean, and of course, Zylan Perry had some good runs. Dre Washington, it was good to see him get some reps. He had some good runs. But, I got to give a shout out to Ben Woldridge. That is the type of prototypical Ben Woldridge style quarterback that we've been waiting to see for a very long time. He was very poised. Even in the last drive, he didn't look flustered. He ran when he had to. He made some really good throws. And you know what else, too? I felt like we didn't have to base the offense as much as around him. He was perfect as a game manager today. If that's the Ben Woldridge we're going to see in the next 8 games leading into for the regular season, look, I like my odds. I like my odds, guys. But anyway, so Nick, while you and I have been going off and ranting, Lane has been pretty quiet. Lane, I want to hear your thoughts on today because you seem like you're the calm and collective one of the group.
The refs were absolutely terrible. We should have won that game by at least 2 touchdowns. But because of the refs, we didn't. We only won by a field goal. But to go on the road and beat a so-so P4 team, I feel like it was needed. And can you imagine if we had won last week, what the feeling around town would be?
Very true. I mean, look, this is, to me, okay, this is a win that I think, obviously, Mike Desimo needed. Again, going into this game, we were 2-10 in one-score games. And to be able to kind of get over that hump and do it on the road against an ACC opponent, I mean, look, I know it's early in the year, but we're 3-1. We're in really good position in conference right now, especially in the next few weeks, the next few games. I know we have Southern Miss next week. We have App State coming to town in 2 weeks. I really think this could be a turning point for Dez and his coaching staff. I mean, if there was any game he needed and to be able to do it with the adversity that he did after the last 2 years of just kind of being unlucky with these one-score games, this might have been the medicine that sparks something special in the future.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say lucky. But I agree with you. I think this is not necessarily the turning point, but it's so desperately needed, man. We needed, when you felt even though I knew we were better than Wake Forest, you felt like the first of these wins had to come in a ridiculous hard way. Like it wasn't going to come easy. And I thought that would be last week against Tulane. I thought that would be the game that we pulled it out at the end and made our statement win. Wake Forest is nowhere nearly as talented as Tulane, but when you get that kind of home cooking, and again, last week Tulane, we were the beneficiary of one pass interference call that was very questionable. But man, I mean, we were light years ahead of Wake Forest this week, had to play them and the ACC officials. I've never, ever, I mean, I know people say G5 teams go into P5 teams or P4 and it's always you against the officials, but holy cow. And I'm agree with you, Chris. I was going to mention this earlier. I was so happy to see Dez get on their asses because I like to see our guy fired up. And I loved HUD when he was here. I'm not about the rah-rah stuff. But you know what? When you come to the defense of your players and your team and your program, when you're obviously being screwed, and even at the end of the game, there was obviously something going on that wasn't called, and Dez was pissed about it. I love that. I love that because you have a guy who cares. And that to me is important. Jerry, we got one, two, we got about 7 people. Do you want to start going to those calls?
Tell you what I'm gonna do. How about I start doing I'm gonna do the stats and then we'll go into the calls, or you want to go on the calls now?
I think we go to the calls now. We get in the stats later.
Okay, that's fine. Totally fine.
All right, cool. We got Uptown Update in here who got in first. Love to hear a Tulane fan's perspective on what occurred today. So Uptown Update, what is going on, man? How are you?
Congratulations on an absolutely amazing win. And I couldn't agree more. Like you said, you were fighting the refs all day. And it's never ever easy to beat a, quote, Power 4 team, whatever that means. So I thought y'all played incredible. Definitely should have won by more if the refs weren't against you. And I'm rooting for Louisiana the rest of the way. Hope y'all win the Sun Belt. So congratulations on the win. Huge accomplishment. The team is incredibly talented, and I can't wait to see what y'all do.
I think I called you a clown before. I'm not going to take that back, but I appreciate the good words. But look, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I think you guys got screwed on a couple of calls last week. I will say 2. I say 2 calls, not we're screwed on, but we're questionable. But when you're like up in the 5 and 6 call range, that is that's something. But I appreciate the good words from you, man, and I wish you guys the best. And look, I was pulling for you guys today, and I'm glad that the better Tulane does going forward shows us how good we are, and I feel like that set the standard for the rest of the season. So I really wish you guys the best going forward.
It's good to see that. It's good to see all of us can be happy today, right?
Yeah, right.
I agree. I'm in the same boat. I mean, we played Kansas State and got screwed with the offensive pass interference.
Oh, I'm aware.
Game where we lost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I agree. I think last week there were questionable calls. I don't think there was anything egregious. I'm just happy that today, when y'all played Wake Forest, the better team won. Y'all are better than Wake Forest. Y'all are better than, I think, the rest of the way. Is there a more talented team on the schedule? Maybe you can tell me if there is, but y'all are damn good. So I'm excited to see what you do.
I think what scares me, I wouldn't say better team. I would say what I've seen out of South Alabama. We're going to see tonight. They're playing TSAB, or as you would call them LSU, we call them TSAB. By the way, if you call them TSAB, they love it. That school across the basin. But I think we're going to know a lot more about South Alabama if they're real are for real tonight because they're going to play a really, really good team in that school. But I would say outside of that, nobody terrifies me. I think Texas State's going to be pretty good. But again, I don't think we have the luxury of saying anybody on our schedule is beatable because I think we still have things we need to fix. But
Texas State did lose today, by the way.
oh, who they lose to?
Sam Houston.
Sam Houston State.
They were up by 22.
Wow.
Blew a 22-0
Holy
lead.
cow.
Yep, blew a 22-0 lead.
Well, Texas State doing Texas State things. So I guess maybe I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm happy, and also you didn't call me a clown. I think you called Jack a clown.
Oh,
He did
okay.
call you guys. I think he called you guys ULL, and I was respectful. I never said that, but today I'm gonna have to call you ULW. So
There you go.
congrats on
Hey,
that.
I like it.
love
I
it.
like
I
it.
love it. No, I
Touche,
appreciate it,
my
man.
friend. Touche.
All in good fun. We appreciate it, man. Thanks for chiming in.
Thank you.
All right, Terry. Hold on. Terry, if you want to unmute yourself, let me give you your intro music. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we
Go
go.
ahead.
Here we go with your intro music. All right, Terry, go ahead with your take.
Carry on. Wait a second.
Hey man, I just got done running around the neighborhood with my UL flag and my daughter in the scooter, yelling around the neighborhood in California. Probably don't even know what a rage occasion is, but they know now. And I couldn't be more proud of Coach Dez. I couldn't be more proud of the team. I've been very negative. Y'all know me. I told y'all not to fall for the Ben and tailpipe, and I've been trying not to fall for it either. I was just waiting for this type of win, and this type of win made me believe. The calls, the refs are making bullshit. There's 5 questionable calls in that game that could have been taken back, but like y'all said, despite all of that, we pulled through. I'm okay with anybody in my DMs or in public over X calling me out. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I wear a black eye easy, okay? But I'm happy for once in my life I am wrong about this team. And, this is, going into conference play, playing Southern Miss, yeah, you lose 4 of the starters on defense, but I think, like Nick said, we should be able to beat them even with that adversity. So just proud of this team. I could bitch, I could moan, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be negative like Jimmy Butler would tell me. I always am. I will be positive. This was needed. Jimmy, Crippa, y'all can all
Wow.
y'all can all just flame me if you want to. I'm good. I'm good with it.
This is
All
like
positive.
a kumbaya moment, man. This is a breakthrough. Look,
The man's extending an olive branch.
I was waiting for the negative first, but Terry, look, you were. I mean, I watched your feed going into this, and it was a little bit sketchy. I wasn't too sure about it, but I'm glad to see you came around. You may need to unmute yourself again, but it was good to see. It was good to see you come around, man. That's good stuff. Hey Terry, you may need to hit your unmute button. Oh, my bad. That was me. Okay, go ahead and unmute. There you go.
Yeah, you got me. Oh, okay. Yeah. Man. Like Ben played amazing. There was great form tackling. I mean that hit that Agu made that got him kicked out of the game. Which I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure we can appeal those. I'm pretty sure that we can appeal some of those.
Yeah, somebody was saying we could send it to the Sun Belt Conference and appeal. I'm hoping we do. And look, there was 1, maybe 2 that I was like, okay, but here's my problem: when a guy is starting his tackle to go for the below the waist, and then the quarterback decides to slide, that's really tough for me to say that's targeting.
Like, and the worst part about it is for KCO size targeting, he hit him with like the flat of his forearm, and like, yeah, it was contact to the head, but is anybody get CTE by what KCO side did? I don't know. I've been hitting the head multiple times, and hit with the forearm barely hurt. It was just, yeah, man. Like you're playing against the entire. You're not just playing against like one team. You're playing against literally 16 other teams, or however many teams the ACC has. You're playing against billions of dollars, and so we overcame all of that and still pulled it off, man. And Dez, he gets a hats off. I believe. Like now we can't sleep on this because if y'all looked at I'll get into like negative if y'all want me to get negative. If you look at the some Sunbelt teams or group of 5 teams, they'll have a good P4 win and they'll come back next week and lay an egg. Happened to Toledo when they beat Mississippi State, happened to NIU when they beat Notre Dame, and they lost the game after, right? So I mean, and it happened to Georgia. I think Georgia State, and they beat Vanderbilt, and they got blown out by Georgia Southern today.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So it's like, so it's like, as fans, we can party for the next week, but hopefully, these players heal up, learn, they can get those calls appealed, and they go into Southern Miss, and we just beat the absolute dog shit out of them.
Look, that is way overdue. Appreciate the comments, Terry. Hold on, mute yourself, but come on mute if you want to comment because we got a bunch of people behind you, and we will get to your negatives later, bud.
Of course.
All right, Josh, I know you've been waiting to chime in, so what's going on, my dude?
Yeah, I'm live.
You are live, brother.
Oh, you live? What's happening?
Look, earmuffs to all the kids because I'm going to use profanity in my rant here. All right,
sing to us.
Everybody a moment.
Sing to us, Josh. Sing to us.
Nick can edit it out later. I'm about to unload. All right, here we go. Fuck the fucking ACC. That's why you bitch asses didn't get your playoff spot last year. You didn't deserve the playoff spot. Bunch of pansy ass. That's not the most blatant cheat job y'all have ever watched. And it ain't just about the targeting calls. It's the no holds. It's the Bill Davis rip down. It is literally ripping our kids' jerseys off of them while they're trying to make a play in the run game. That was the most shameful cheat job on national we have ever seen.
I got some good beeps in there, Josh, and I don't disagree with you.
It's the most shameless cheat job we've ever seen as a fan. There's no way. I've been betting games before it was cool.
Dude.
That is the most cheat. Like, you can't cheat a team more than that ACC crew tried to cheat us. And we still beat their ass. The ball doesn't lie, fellas. It's just another lesson in the ball doesn't freaking lie. And by the way, Nick, I'm going to need to get some flowers over to Kenny. You owe him an apology. You were on his ass last week. You're going to have to send him some nice notes.
First of all, I did not know that was Kenny. Okay. Had I known that was Kenny kicking, I would have been like, screw you, whoever's making this decision. I was just pissed. We were trying to kick the ball out of bounds. Like that was stupid. Guess what? You're not wrong. Wait, but you never met a happier fan. And I said that on Twitter today. I said you have not met a happier fan in his life than today when Kenny kicked that shit through the end zone. I was so happy.
Hey, yeah, no, I'm glad for Kenny. He's been a warrior for us for a long time, and he earned that. And look, we had to get those, but I mean, it should have never come down to that. By the way, I got to say, your energy to open the show, all of y'all, was amazing. That's exactly what I needed to hear as a fan. I was bucked up. I was pissed off. Also happy. It was weird. Loved watching Dez get after the players. I think what he was trying to tell them is, fellas, they've been trying to cheat us the whole game. Don't do anything stupid on the freaking field. And whatever happened, obviously we didn't see it because the camera didn't show, but whatever. I think he was fussing at him for, being risky. So whatever happened, we won the game. We overcame every piece of adversity you could possibly draw up. We had to beat the team. By the way, Wake Forest is very bad. Shout out to their little quarterback. He was tough, but outside of that, poorly coached, very soft on the lines. I was not impressed with Wake, but it's still a P4 win. So you got to be happy about that. But we were 2 scores better than them, maybe more than that. Ben Waldridge he just had a coming out party. And I'm happy for Ben. He's been through a lot of adversity, a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff. I'm happy for Ben. He had an absolute ball game. Elijah Davis, crown him. He's the next Elijah Davis, the next Elijah running back coming out of the University of Louisiana. That guy is the star. Feed him. I hated the play calling late in the game. You get a first down right there, the game is over, and we didn't even attempt to do that. And there's a lot of things, like I'll put on my Terry hat. I'm very concerned about the front seven, especially the interior, like you said, Nick. Like, that was a sieve all day long. Shout out to 30 carry on Wake. He was a load. But we got to be more gap sound, man. We just played undisciplined football for a lot of that game.
1000%.
We got to clean that up. You're right, Josh. No, we definitely have to clean that up going into conference. Without
we came out on fire. I was very impressed by the game plan. First, four drives. But outside of that, once they started that zone blocking and started stretching out the run game, we could not do anything. I was very disappointed in our tackling. However, fellas, we've been wanting a moment for Dez. And look, we don't know what the season's how it's gonna unfold. Maybe Tulane we thought was gonna be the moment. Dez went out to North Carolina and got a win against an ACC squad and beat the referees. This is a moment for Dez, fellas. You got to give him his credit. I mean, we've been hard on him, and we've been hard on him in a very fair way when he deserved it. I think today you got to sit back and go, I have to reevaluate the Dez era because that's a great win. How many times have we been right here and pissed this game away? So many, basically our entire lifetime.
But don't lie to me. You were waiting for it. We were all waiting for it.
We were waiting for it. Dude,
the CDS was – look, Catherine and I watched the second half at Buffalo Wild Wings after soccer. And I'm happy to report the entire place blew up when the bad targeting happened and a couple other plays. But when they missed the field goal, Buffalo Wild Wings erupted. And that was great to see. If we can get that energy and just go forward with it and get that fan support and just keep doing this, we can get this city back red again. We can. And I think that we all love Dez. I know we all love Dez. This is a Dez moment. Dez can go home and he can go to sleep tonight and he can wake up tomorrow and he is in a different, I don't want to say stratosphere, right? That's a little bit overkill, but he is a different coach today than he was at the beginning of this day, tomorrow as he was at the beginning of this day. That's a big win. That's one of the top 10 wins in Cajun history, in modern day history. It really is. I hate to say it. It's Wake Forest, who's, they're nobody, but they are a P4 team. They are an ACC member. This is a top 10 win. It absolutely is. Don't care what you say. Don't care what you think. Everybody who grew up in the Baldwin era and going into the HUD era and into the Napier era, this is a top 10 win. We have to think about that. It might be a topic of conversation, but I just wanted to say
it's perception, Josh. You went on the road against an ACC
on national
team.
TV, Jerry.
And then they tried to steal it from us.
The end of that game.
And then they tried to steal it from us, and we still won. We
shoved it up their ass with help. They had help, and we shoved it up their ass. That's something to be happy about. If you're a Cajun fan out there, I understand that you're concerned about the run defense. I understand that you're concerned about the suspensions. I understand all that. Offensive line's got some run blocking issues we got to work out. But you got to understand and appreciate days like today. We overcame every possible piece of adversity to win a game on the road against a P4 ACC school. I don't care what their name is. That's something to be proud of. I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to let everybody else come in because I can see the line. But great show. Y'all keep it up. Go Cajuns. Cajuns win, baby.
And again, on top of that, Josh, I'm just going to add on to it that it was, it was sweet because we have so many times this season, and I think you said it or maybe alluded to it, so many times over the course of the Dez era. I mean, you look to last week, we were so close, man. We just needed one drive to get us there and see what happens. One play and couldn't get it done. And you're talking about, hell, I mean, I'm from the Stokely era. I mean, I'm before that, So
you and me both, brother. You and me both. How many times have we been on the other side of this? Like Josh said, our entire life. I mean,
dude, our entire life was making other programs who never got a win in FBS get their win. So yeah, right. I'm going to take it. Who dat, David? I see you've been holding a while, man. If you're still here, unmute yourself. What's going on?
No worries. Thank you. I usually do call in, but this is my first time this year. Like a lot of people, I've been a critic of Coach Dez for his first 2 years, but I do think overall this year so far, I've thought it up to this game, and I thought it through this game. The team has gotten better. I think the first 2 years, to my uneducated football opinion, the team looked like it didn't have a true identity. It didn't feel like the team knew what they wanted to do, and they looked very undisciplined. And while there were some undisciplined moments today, I do think overall this team looks much better than it has the past 2 years. So I think Coach Des may have taken a huge step forward. And in this game, I think the offensive play calling was good. I think that Wake didn't have an answer for the Cajuns at all. I do think I'm a little worried about the defensive play against the run, but with that is we had 4 players on defense leave this game. The first 2 calls I thought were actually good calls. I do think that we did have some bad plays there. The third one could have went either way. I think if our player didn't lower his head, it's a different call. But when he lowered his head, I think that ran it. And then the fourth call was just complete BS. But after we've had 3 players ejected, the refs were already like, you know what? They're targeting all the time. So the Cajuns just love to target people. Bad officiating. Several missed calls that should have went the other way. But I do think 2 of those targeting calls were very legitimate, and the third one could have went either way. But great win, and I do agree with it being a top 10 win, even though it is a bad team. A P4 win is a P4 win, and we don't have a ton of those, especially on the road. So great game to watch, great win, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed seeing all of the chatter on the X space. And thank you for the time, gents.
I appreciate those comments, man.
Thank
Look,
you.
I agree with you that two of those were the right call, and I'm glad those happened in the first quarter. Because again, in the first half of a game, you only have to sit out the next half, so they'll be back for Southern Miss. The other 2, man, were well, like you said, one was iffy, and then the last one was just god awful. But I agree with you. The officiating was terrible, and I think we've established that tonight. The thing that really concerns me defensively is a couple of things. Again, I think the middle of our defensive line is still struggling, man, especially against the rush. When they bounced it outside, you know, we had our linebackers and Justin Agu, man, he was freaking amazing. I know I'm probably butchering his name, but he was really, really good on the edge tonight. But a couple of things drove me crazy. One, we still, through 4 games, do not have a sack. 4 games a season, do not have a sack. That is nuts to me.
Well, if the refs would have called holding, if the refs wouldn't have called holding, we may have had a couple there.
Well, that's a whole nother issue. Second one is on the fourth, and one of the calls that drove me absolutely crazy offensively was when on 4th down, I think we're at like the 35, 40-yard line, no man's land, you either punt it and pin them deep. I don't hate the fact that we went for it, but the play call was a fade pass to an outside receiver that it was clear we were just trying to draw a pass interference call. And that worked last week, right? Against Tulane, because we knew they were really, really physical on their defensive backs. But that play call on 4th and I think it was 5 was just head scratching. Like, I'd rather them had tried to run on the outside edge and get a couple of yards than try that. So that was one of the plays that I was just scratching my head. And maybe Ben checked down and didn't hit the right receiver. But again, I'm with you. I'm with you, David. There were a couple of questionable calls that kind of drove me nuts, and I think drove us all nuts. Kevin Dore, I see you there. If you're still here, unmute yourself. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? Ball don't lie.
Yes, sir.
Nope. Doink.
Saying it. I I kind of got a lot to say, but first of all, I'm glad to hear Terry on here and kind of eat all the stuff he said on X the last 3 hours with his CDS.
Wait,
But,
time out. Are we talking about this Terry right here? That Terry?
Yeah,
No.
that Terry.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
Yeah, he knows.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm glad. No, it's good medicine for CDS when the Cajuns come out with a win like that. But yeah, holy crap! I've watched a lot of football and I've never seen such just egregious calls. I mean, it's just blatant. The target, look, the holdings and stuff that you get that sometimes with a little home cooking. I kind of understand. It's not really right, but it happens. But for 4 targeting calls, 2 of which were absolute bullshit. Okay, starting with the first one, I thought Ty was trying to make a play on the ball. So it was close. He did kind of lead with the crown of his helmet. The second one with KC, he never made contact with the quarterback's helmet, with his helmet at all. It was all his forearm. I think Terry had said it. To me, if you don't make contact with your helmet forcibly, there's no way you can call targeting.
And we said that, I think, in our group chat, Jerry. I was like, he pushed off with his forearm. I mean, it was clear. And what was even funnier is the ACC guys, as they're in slow motion, showing it's his forearm, that's clearly leading with his helmet.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, what are you talking about, dude?
They were extremely biased, but that's
Holy
to be
cow.
expected. The second one, I think it was Caleb Edwards in the end zone, in Wake's zone end zone, where we finally get some bit of a rush, and he squares up the QB, and after the throw, he basically kisses face mask with the guy. The guy I don't even think he fell down. He may have went backwards 2 inches, and they called target on that. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is just silly at this point. The roughing the passer on the last drive, I thought was close, being that he put his weight on him. Like I said, those kind of things happen. But the worst one, and at this point, I was just, you could ask my wife, I was just laughing my ass off, was the one on Justin Agu.
Oh, man, I know.
The guy is making a tackle.
It was a clear tackle.
How
it was like it was a perfect tackle. He literally lowered his
Textbook.
shoulder. It was a fundamental tackle.
Yes. I mean, fundamental by the book. You couldn't ask for a better tackle and in that situation. And like I think I told Jerry, is like, at this point, just let them score. They're not going to let us stop them. The refs and Wake will not let us stop them. Let them score, get the ball back to what we do best. Let's go down there and score and win this game. Shout out Zylan Perry on the kick return. I think that's been overlooked. That was huge. And I'm almost glad he didn't score because he was able to let us eat some clock. The play calling offensively, here's the only issues I had. Well, this is the main thing. When we had the ball with less than 2 minutes left and we're going down there to try to win this game, there's no freaking way you need to be playing for a field goal there with how the game had gone to that point. When we got down there, and I mean, Wake had 2 timeouts, and we're in the I formation on 2nd and 8, 3rd and 1, and we're running it straight ahead. Now, the play with Ben rolling out, I like that. That was clever. And I think at that point, Dez was trying to get a first down and try to score. I don't know if he was great. If not, it drove me insane because we need to be playing for a touchdown there. There's no way you play for a field goal there.
I agree. I mean, I think other people have said it too. I agree. I mean, they really offensively, they couldn't stop us.
No.
So I agree.
And we couldn't stop them.
Well, that's another thing. But when you're down 4 starters, it's kind of hard to.
And look,
I know, and that's just part of it, but that's the situation we were in. And,
I agree.
I don't think I could ever forgive Dez, even though we won for that. But
and you know what?
I guess
Kev,
I will.
Well, here's the thing. And I was saying the same thing. Like, are we really trying to lose this game at the time? I'm curious to see Dez's explanation on Monday, because we usually have the Monday press conferences following the games. And I know somebody's going to ask him about that. What was your line of thinking? What was your strategy? And I know somebody's going to ask it. So I am curious to see what his explanation was. And if I were to guess, without really putting any words in his mouth, I would assume that it would be something along the lines of, hey, we wanted to take the 3 points. Wake Forest had no timeouts left. I had faith in the defense to pull it off. I hope there is more. I hope the answer is something similar to that, because any other answer, I would just kind of scratch my head going, oh, well, based on the way they were moving the football leading up to that drive, why would you risk it? I would have done my best to make sure they don't get the ball back.
But you know, Jerry,
it's
it's so true. And I know this is not real life. I know this is in fans' head. And I think you said it, Kevin, or somebody said it, ball don't lie. Like,
we all said
in the end, you know, the football gods are going to make it happen. What happens? And you got a kicker who makes 80% of his kicks over the last 4 or 5 years miss a field goal. That tells me what happened was supposed to happen. I'm just saying.
Football gods don't sleep, man.
There you go.
I said it first after the interception, after the Edwards call targeting. I said right after the pick, I said, ball don't lie.
There you go, Kevin. Well, appreciate your thoughts. Let's get to the next one. Just mute yourself, but come off if you want to say something. Josh, before we go to RC, because I know Ryan's been holding on a while. What's up, Josh?
I'll be quick, but I just the targeting comments got me all riled up. The call on Caleb Edwards was so horrible. The guy was making a play on the pass. Hands were up to try to defend the ball. He literally stopped his momentum, which is almost impossible, and his helmet touched the guy's helmet. That is not a targeting. In order for there to be targeting, you have to launch your body into a defenseless player. It never happened. But even worse was the call on Aguiu. That was a form tackle. It just so happened to be, it would have made Wake have a 3rd and 5 with a short field with about a minute and a half to go. And we can't have that if we're the ACC official crew. We can't have that. So let's call it targeting. That is the worst targeting. And I mean, I'm talking about at every level. No level is calling that a targeting. Nobody. And the fact that they had to sit there and look at the tape for 2 or 3 minutes to call it, maybe they got a call from somewhere else. Maybe somewhere in Las Vegas. Maybe they got a call. That was one of the worst calls of all time. There's no way you call targeting on that.
We didn't, as the viewer, as we're watching, they go to commercial break because their receiver is hurt. And literally, as they come back from a commercial break, the play-by-play guy goes, yeah, they're reviewing this for targeting. And I'm like, wait, targeting?
Josh,
and then they call it targeting and throw him out the game.
It's the same officials in some booth somewhere in the cloud making that decision that decided, oh, well, we cannot possibly let Miami lose to, what was it, Virginia Tech last night? So we gotta say this wasn't a touchdown. We're gonna overrule something that wasn't clear and concise to overrule. We're talking about the same exact league and people in charge. Are you really shocked?
And look, nothing's gonna happen unless we pursue it.
No.
And if we pursue it, maybe there'll be some sort of discipline. But guys, you can't possibly tell me that a competent official makes that call. Maybe we can have an argument about the Caleb Edwards targeting, which was complete bullshit. Maybe we can have a conversation about that with a bad ref. No somewhat competent ref is calling targeting on the Aguiu form tackle. There's no freaking way that's a target.
Josh, look at the roughing the passer. That was the weakest call of all night. That told you right there they were not going to allow us to win if they had any control.
I consider the situation. The roughing the passer wasn't necessarily a crucial situation. The situation that was super crucial was going to be a 3rd and 5 on a very extremely short field, and Wake Forest had maybe 2 plays to tie the game or whatever, or to get back in the game. That you can't possibly tell me, as a person who's watched football my entire life, 30 plus years, that was not influenced by something outside of the football game. That's not even like an incompetent call. That is a blatant call to change the outcome of a football game. Nobody can argue with me about that.
Well, nothing's going to be done outside of us appealing with the Sun Belt for the Sun Belt to say they don't need to sit out. I mean, nothing's going to get done to ACC officials. What can we do? What is the Sun Belt going to do to punish
But my
them?
question is, here's the thing. Usually for non-conference games, they don't have officials from the conferences that the two schools
That's
are
right.
from.
But
So here's
They usually
but
have a third-party crew,
but
which
we
was
had-
also suspect. And if you look at the line was suspect, especially with everything going on. And look, I don't want to be conspiracy guy. I'm just saying, if you watch that game, you don't come away thinking, well, the officials were neutral. Nobody's saying that.
But that's what I'm
Nobody.
saying, Josh. Even TSAP fans who are my friends are texting me going, what is this crap? Like, this is
a screw
awful.
job. It's a screw job. But look, I'm going to get off of here and let Ryan talk. I just had to chime in on that.
All right, Ryan. He's giving you the floor, man. Unmute yourself. What's going on?
Oh, gosh darn it. It's about gosh darn time. Holy Toledo.
Let it loose, man. What's
Let's
up?
hear it.
Holy shit. Can I
Sing
say
to us.
shit?
Sing
you just
to us.
did.
Sing
you
to
just
us.
did. So go
All
ahead.
right. So my first thing that I don't say nothing. The first thing that I want to say is, can I get Jerry to say a curse word?
Say damn or hell, Jerry.
Oh, damn hell.
There you go.
Holy damn
That's it.
hell. Gosh darn it to heck. All right. So all right, we got a party going on over here.
That's
We're
all right,
not very
man.
happy about it.
That's
but
all right.
We're happy about what happened about 30 minutes ago, but what's going on right now, we're not happy about it. But what I can say is that we are so happy for Mike D and the boys because we gave them shit. And you know what they did?
Stuck it up in their ass.
Jerry, what they do? Jerry, what did they do?
Jerry is texting somebody. Jerry knows what happened.
All right. You know what? He shoved it in our faces.
Yep.
He actually ran the offense. He said, you know what? I'm going to do this, and I'm going to shove it right up y'all's booty holes, and we going to get a field goal, and we going to win the game. And that's exactly what happened, right?
Somebody said it. I don't know who said it on X, but somebody said it like, we just need a field goal and take this crap home. And they did it. I don't know if that was you, Ryan, but somebody said that.
No, well, I did it on Raging Page, and I said it's going to be 41-40, and we're going to get out of here with a win. But what was it, 41-38?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you rewind back to last week, I said that our offensive coordinator, who's what? Mike D?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he has some beautiful play calls, some beautiful designs. He just needs to know how to do it. And I think he figured it out this game. So the one that really messed us up was the defense. But you can't even blame it on the defense because of who? The referees. We might as well put on the ACC Miami jerseys. Hey, is this after dark? Can I use the F word?
Hey, I can mute. Yeah. I mean, we don't like it, but if you use it, yeah.
Yeah, fuck the ACC. We out here.
You know what? You know what, Ryan? For that one, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. So, hey, Mike D, I love you, my dog. We out here. We in your backyard right now, drinking cold beers, hot whiskeys. What we doing else?
I love it, Ryan. I love it, baby. Thank you. Thank you.
We out here.
That's what we needed, baby. Thank you, Ryan.
Hey, celebrate, be safe, have fun. You've earned it tonight, brother.
Yes, sir.
No, we in the backyard. We ain't got to go nowhere. The only thing we got to do is get Mike D in the backyard to hang out with us.
Well, guess what? He coming. So you just
Come
wait.
on.
Thanks, Ryan. Let me move on to the next guy, but hey, hang on. If you want to chime in, just mute yourself and come back on.
Thank you for making me wait so long.
I'm sorry, man. We got a lot of people who want to talk tonight, brother.
Hey, can I use one more curse word?
One more and that's it.
Fuck you, Josh.
All right. Thank you. Love you, Ryan. All right. Cajun Zool, what's up, man?
Yo, am I live? Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool.
Talk to us.
First things first, y'all got a lot of these players up in here today, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
We got.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all got Edwards, Amir. God, if I can read that. Skipper, yeah. Whitfield, all them, and of course my favorite player, me, the Cajun Super.
I love it, man.
Play left tackle, going first overall in the draft because I said so. Anyway, Where do I want to begin with this? I mean, y'all have all said what I was thinking. There's not much more I can constructively add, but I do want to say this, right? The fact that we all thought this was going to end the way we did at first was kind of it. I'm trying to find the right words here. I'm surprised we won that game. I thought, because I've seen the script before, he was going to make the kick, we go to overtime, and then something goes horribly wrong like it did against Southern Miss last season, right? You know, when you have the ACC just deciding, you're not allowed to win today for whatever reason, I feel like this win means a bit more.
Agreed.
Every win is important, right? Whether you're playing against that team up north that we don't consider to be real, I'm talking about ULM, whatever that thing is. I've never heard of it.
I don't know them.
Who?
I don't know ULM. What is that?
I think it's a sexually transmitted disease.
But I
Anyway.
get what you're saying, man. Like, yeah. No, I totally get where you're going with that.
They say the SEC, it just means more. But, I think that win, with how Texas State collapsed today against the Bearcats. Somebody needs to check out on their Barstool account, by the way.
Oh, those guys, did they not block you yet?
Oh, no.
Oh, they blocked everybody.
We had a good, no. Texas State baseball blocked.
Oh, yeah, my bad. It's the baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, the account blocked me. I think it took like 30 seconds, which record.
Good job.
But I think the Sun Belt, given at least the West Division, is primed for the taking.
Agreed.
At this moment, 7:14 p.m. on September 28th, 2024, just in case freezing cold takes comes back to bite me, we only have, I think, one competitor in the Sun Belt for the championship, and that is James Madison. Because James Madison just put belt to ass on Ball State today.
They look good, man.
That's 2 weeks in a row, 60 plus. They scored 2 weeks in a row.
130 points, 2 games, and against North Carolina, who is, let me check. They had a lead on Duke.
But regardless, I mean, it's UNC.
And
you know? But wait, but hasn't UNC lost to Sun Belt teams like 3 years in a row? Because didn't App State like beat them twice and then?
I think didn't App State have like the crazy?
App State only beat them in 2019. That's
2019. I got you. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
App State was a crazy overtime game. I think. I don't remember. But James Madison right now, I feel like if the schedule plays out the way I think it will, we'll be playing in Harrisonburg. Wait, is JMU still postseason banned?
No. This is the first season they can compete for the championship.
Okay. So currently, we are looking at playing in Harrisonburg for the Sun Belt Championship, and I think I don't want to get too ahead of myself here. Don't get me wrong, but we're playing teams that we should on paper beat.
Agreed.
I know that's not.
Except, look, I'll say South Alabama with their offense and our defense right now kind of worries me, right? Because they can put up points, so they scare me a little bit.
Yeah, I know, but that game is here, and I think that when we played last year at Mobile, however, I saw that team last year. Both teams are good currently. South Alabama's getting their junk beaten in by LSU, TSAB. I have a sister that got LSU. It's kind of starting to get brainwashed. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this win opens the door for so much more. Last week after we lost to Tulane, I was calling for everybody's head. because it might have been the heat stroke, but it felt like a repeat of the last 2 seasons.
And I will agree with you, because you went the way the game ended last week was very reminiscent of a lot of how the first couple of years went. And we realized we had to go to Wake Forest, and you felt like you're bringing that to them, right?
Right. I figured this game was going to go one of 2 ways. It was either going to go, we win and we have to win by at least 2 possessions, giving our record, or we are losing by 30 points. And, I was thoroughly shocked because, surprisingly, I have friends and plans. And I was leaving, what we were doing on the way to lunch, and I was like, no way, we're winning? And the fact that the Texas Roadhouse on Johnston Street didn't even have the game on is a shame. But
that's a whole nother story, brother.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Shut down the entire Texas Roadhouse.
Agreed.
Yeah. Starting with the fact that, they have to say yeehaw for every birthday puts like 1942 1,000-yard stare into my eyes. But this game was fun to watch. It was not so fun with the penalties, but the fact that we walked into Winston-Salem and beat on a team who canceled their 2025 game with the Rebels out of shame, and we put belt to ass on them, collected $800,000, and now we're on our way to Lafayette, back to Lafayette. In the quote, to quote RJ Young, what did he say? Crap. Shimmy in the shack, put the money in the bag, something like that.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
But
I thought you were going with scared money don't make money. I was going to hurt you if you said that.
Oh, no. Believe
we
me.
don't quote that guy. Right?
But I get what you're saying, man.
But yeah, that's a great win, and I got 5 words left.
Nice.
Ball don't lie, Cajuns win.
Love it, man. Thank you for chiming in, dude. Mute yourself, but if you have any comments after this, let us know. Nova, man, you got the X's and O's. I know you're gonna say some things we missed today, so unmute yourself, man. Give us your take. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. Josh pretty much said everything that I was thinking that was happening, that happened today. It was definitely a hack job. I've never seen something just so bad for a Cajuns team that everything was stacked against them by the officiating crew. That was beyond ridiculous. And for them to overcome that, hats off to that team. Because I'll tell you, if Dez would have lost this game tonight, it definitely wasn't on Dez. It was definitely on the officiating crew. And
Agreed.
we could be having a totally different conversation tonight if that dude wouldn't have missed the field goal. But guess what? Poetic justice happened. Screw Wake Forest. Screw the ACC. You know what? They can take their job and shove it, because guess what? They tried to cheat us and they didn't win. To beat a man, you got to beat the man, as Ric Flair said. And tonight we beat the man. So give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair, please. Because I'm telling you what, there's one thing about this team that I love to see tonight is when everything was against them, they kept fighting and clawing and fighting, even though you could tell they knew that they were getting a hack job, and they just kept clawing and fighting. Mad respect to this team. So there's one thing though that I did notice, and look, I'm gonna tell you all this right now. Jim Salgado, hell of a defensive coordinator. I know we gave up 38 points tonight, but if you watch him and watch what the plays he was calling, and when he was putting pressure on the quarterback and what he was trying to do, we just didn't have the playmakers to do that. And it's not a hit against the defensive guys because they played their butts off, but our defensive line, people are like, oh, the run. I thought we did well against the run. We had 1 or 2 plays that we didn't do well against, but it's the pressure on the quarterback, right? Like, we're trying to send blitz packages in there. They're picking up the blitz packages. we didn't get enough pressure to the quarterback. And then when we got to the quarterback, we weren't breaking down, making a tackle. The one that made me absolutely insane is when we had, I think it was Bayless had Bachmeier.
We had him, man. We had him.
And he got away. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
I know.
This is, but I'm not saying this is to slight the defensive line particularly, is we don't have the hosses of what Jim Salgado's calling on the defensive line to do what he wants to do. Okay. He needs speed on the outside and he needs beef in the middle to really push that pressure up.
Well, he had speed on the outside until they got ejected from the freaking game, dog.
Yeah, look, let me tell you, we got screwed and we got a hose job on that. And hats off to the guys who came in the game and made plays and did things they had to do to get a victory. Because I can't remember as a Cajuns fan. I've been a Cajuns fan since the 80s, right? I just don't remember a game that has been so blatantly called one-sidedly officiating wise. And it was absolutely asinine. Like, I'm a lot more calm now than I was earlier.
Oh, man.
I mean, when that dude missed the field goal and hit it, I was yelling the F word, screaming at the TV, like poetic justice, man.
Me too. That's just it, dude. Like I did the same thing. I was like, F you at the TV. But the thing is, dude, like, again, I've been following this team since I was a kid. And I mean, I came through like Stokely and Baldwin and and like all those years.
Yes.
And I've never, ever seen a situation like happen today. I've never.
Yeah. And look, when Mike was so fired up on the sideline,
I loved it. I loved it.
I mean, me too. And I think that fired up his guys. And like, I think that gave them the fire even more. Look, Ben Woolridge, hats off to him. That dude was the player of the game on offense. That dude played the best game he's played in his entire career in a Cajuns uniform. And I said that last week because he played his ass off and he still lost. But he had grit again tonight. And he is just proven why he's such a leader on that team. He's the linchpin. This guy is the guy that can get us to where we need to be and win a Sun Belt Conference championship. I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, the best team right now in the West, I still think is Texas State from a talent level. I think Texas State is still a little bit more talented than we are, not by much, but I think they still have a little bit more talent. So we've got to be disciplined. I think Texas State, with their running and their passing attack, their no huddle offense gives us tremendous amounts of trouble. So that is a game I look at and be like, that's a true measuring stick for our defense to come out and play against. I think though everybody else on our schedule we should beat.
Nova,
I think we are more talented than anybody else on our schedule.
Nova, I would typically agree with you, and then I just found out they lost to Sam freaking Houston State.
They did. They blew it. They choked.
That's bad, man.
Good teams choke too. I mean, there are
Agreed.
talented teams that choke too.
Agreed.
But when you look at them talent wise and you've watched them play, they're going to provide a lot of problems for our defense. When it comes time for us to go on the road at that and play in San Marcos. But I still think we can beat them. I still think if you look at that matchup head to head, I still think we're still a team that can win and compete in that game. I'm not saying we're not going to win, but what I am saying is I think talent wise, when he looks at the skill positions, they got just a little bit more talent than we do at the skill positions. I think their defensive line is a little bit better than what we have, but with that being said, I'm telling y'all, people should be very high on Jim Salgado because I think if you watch his play calling tonight, he tried to apply pressure. It just didn't work. They picked up the blitzes. I give it up to Wake Forest's offensive line pass protection a couple times tonight. They did what they needed to do to give Bachmeier time, and he made us pay for it a couple times. But when you watch his play calling, what he was doing on the defensive side of the ball, I think it was an improvement from last week against Tulane. And look, hell, Tulane went and beat the crap out of USF today,
right?
Who is a good team. And I think people need to realize that Tulane just took a really good team to the woodshed in USF when it comes to talent. You know,
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. USF is not that good. I think USF is all talk. I'm just being.
But still, Terry, like the fact of the matter is, it's a conference game. I mean, it's like us playing ULM. Like anything can happen. That impressed me.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I think a lot of USF fans are just a lot of talk, and so I just take a lot of stuff they do with a grain of salt.
Agreed. And
Especially
plus they blew out Southern Miss. Congrats on that. But I'm not going to even go that route because they beat us every year, so whatever.
Look, I'm gonna put it to this way: USF is gonna probably finish in the top 4 or 5 of the American, with their talent level. Like if you look at their talent level compared to the rest of the Sun Belt teams, I would put them in the top half of that bracket of the talent level. Now, it's not necessarily going to transfer on the field, right? I mean, you've got to execute. But I think today they got totally dismantled and out game plan, out coached today. I mean, give it to Tulane. They came in with a game plan, and look, Mensa looked nothing like he looked last week. Like he looked like a Heisman Trophy kind of candidate in that first half of that game, and that put him up so big, and just pretty much they coasted the rest of the way in the second half. But I don't want to talk about Tulane because I hate Tulane. Screw the Greeny Weenies. I don't care about them. We passed them. But Wake Forest, we are so much better than that team. We should have won that game by 21 points.
Agreed.
If it was not the officiating, if the officiating was not as bad as it was, that game was going to be a runaway. We are so much more talented, that team. We dominated the line of scrimmage, I thought, on the offensive side. I thought we played very well on the offensive line. They had some times where they were able to do some stunts, and they did some slants, and they were able to slant to where we were running because you could kind of pick up what we were doing with those runs, with some of those stretch runs. But at times they over pursued and were not disciplined, and that's when we gashed them.
But any team is going to be able to do that. Like even if you're a bad team, you're gonna break you're gonna break the tackle for a long run. Like that's gonna happen in the course of a football game.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm telling you, I was very impressed with our offensive line tonight. They played their butt off. They played very well, and I thought they dominated the point attack. Defensive line held their own. Like people were like, "Oh, I could hear people talking about the run game." All right, they broke up one big run. Besides that, the defensive line, if you watch, they were actually getting a stalemate at the point of attack with an offensive line that I think was bigger than them, that should have dominated them and didn't. Where we struggled at was getting pressure on the quarterback with the pass rush. I thought some of our defensive ends were falling down. They couldn't get up. It was just we weren't getting enough pressure.
I'm glad you said that because that's what concerns me is the interior seems a little bit suspect because they allow big plays. And a couple of times that I think what concerned me most, and I know this is sad to say, but the kid who goes out and dislocates his knee comes back in the game and burns us for a TD. And I'm like, what on earth is happening right now?
That was a missed gap assignment.
Totally. I agree.
That was 100% a missed gap assignment.
Yeah.
They're going to go back. They'll have to fix that. But that happens in football, right? Like it's one of those things. You want to limit those things. But besides that, that was it. That was their big thing,
Agreed.
Like our defensive line played relatively well against the run, I thought, tonight compared to what they did last week. But the pass rush, man, we've got to figure out a way to mix them and disguise some of our blitzes. We got to try to put pressure on the quarterback because, like, we definitely can't do it with just 4 guys rushing the quarterback.
And that's my biggest concern against the defense is we are 4 games into the season and don't have a single blitz. I'm sorry, a single sack. I don't know is there any other team in the country that doesn't have a single sack through 4 games. I don't know if there is.
Hey, and we're 3-1. Just think if we could sack.
Thank you.
How much better we would be,
especially tonight. I think you mentioned it. Like we had the guy in our grasp, and again a poor tackle let him get away. Like I thought that was it. I was ready for it, man.
I was very disheartened though with some of the calls against them on the last couple of drives, because I mean it was just so blatant that we were getting cheated.
I know.
I felt so bad for the defenders because that is very hard for you to come back from and get yourself up and pick yourself up. And they did. And they competed. I mean, holy cow, dude. That dude made an unbelievable tackle, open field tackle. And look, if I'm Mike Desimo, every one of those targeting calls, the first one, he's not going to get a win on. But if he challenges the rest of those targeting calls to get those guys back on the field, I'm almost certain that he's going to win one of those and maybe get those guys back, because the one on Agu was absolutely asinine. You know, the other two were questionable, but like, my God, dude, like, let the kids play, dude. Like, this ain't touch football. I'm here to knock your freaking head off, dude, and go and make plays, man. Osai was trying to make a play on the guy. The guy, you know, he slid and he grazed him with his forearm on his helmet.
That
Didn't even
drove me
make
nuts,
contact
man.
with his helmet, and they throw the guy out. I'm like, bruh, this ain't football, man. This ain't the football I know. You know, the football I know is I'm gonna go and knock your freaking head off and separate you from the football, and that's how we play the game. That's how the game's supposed to be played. But you know, we're in these. Pardon my French, but we're in the pussification of football rules now, and everybody's got to, you know, watch out, and you can't touch anybody, and it's some bullshit now the way they play football. But with that being said, I totally think we were getting hosed, and hats off to this team and that defense for sticking it out and gutting it up and making plays when they had to. And when that ball hit that goalpost, and I was like, I wasn't sure if it went in or if it went out until I saw it hit in the end zone. And I'm like, holy cow, we just won this damn game. Thank God, man. The football god smiled upon us tonight. You know, so congratulations to Mike, man. I'm very happy for Mike, dude. I want him to be our coach. I want him to be our Joe Paterno. I'll be honest with you. I want that dude to be the guy for
Agreed.
because that dude will never turn his back on this university, and that dude is Cajun 100% all the time, every day. He lives it, and that's the kind of guy I want leading my program. And those players, you can tell that they love him and they fight for that guy every inch of the way, you know. And he hasn't had good luck lately until today, and hopefully this is hey, we 3-1, baby.
But I gotta ask,
going to the conference.
I got a question. I got a question for you, man. And thanks for the great insight. Please, like, call in every week because we learn something new every time you speak. But so I need more of your expertise. Okay, so this week, as people know, Southern Miss had a bye, and next week we go to Hattiesburg for the conference opener. And Southern Miss has an 11-game win streak on us. Is this finally the year where we break the streak, Nova? I need to hear it. I need to hear it from you. What do you think?
Look, I said last week we are going to beat Wake Forest, and I'm going to say it this week. We're going to beat Southern Miss. We're a way better team than Southern Miss. I think we dominate on the ground game. I think you see a similar game of what happened at Kennesaw State. I think that's the kind of game you're going to see. I think we're a way better team. Unless we come out completely flat and with our heads in the clouds because we beat Wake Forest. But this is a conference opener, man. And this game is more important than the Wake Forest game. This gets you started. And I know Mike's going to have those guys fired up and ready to go to play this game. He's going to let them know we've only won at Southern Miss one time in our history. You know who won that game against Southern Miss in our history?
Richie
It was
Cunningham.
against Brett Favre and my former coach, Coach Lemoyne, kicked the game-winning field goal of 50
Mike Lemoyne.
yards. Yep, Mike Lemoyne kicked the game-winning field goal to beat Southern Miss on the road. That's the only win we have at Southern Miss. It's time to turn that thing around and we start dominating that team because I think we're a better place to play at. We got a better fan base. We got a better school. We're better at everything than Southern Miss. Screw Hattiesburg. We're going to go in there. I really have a feeling we're going to go in and dominate, and I think it's going to be because of our run game.
I love this guy. I really do.
Look, I can look at teams and see how they match up against the Cajuns. Like Texas State scares me. Yeah, because they're so talented in the skill positions. But also, you know, South Alabama does scare me a little bit because they're talented in some of their skill positions, and I think they'll give us trouble. But when you look at our schedule in totality of what's out there right now, there is not a game on the schedule we can't win, and there's not a game on the schedule we shouldn't win. Maybe Texas State because it's at Texas State. But every game left on this schedule, we should win. This team is talented enough to do that. You know, I'm like we give the defense a lot of shit right now, and you know it's because we see what's happening on the defensive line, and we take a step back, and we're not seeing what the coaches are seeing. Right, the coaches are looking at it from a different angle. We're looking at it from a fan angle, right? And watching this defense play, you know, yeah, we're not as good, I don't think, as the defensive line as we were last year. But I personally believe that the defense as a whole is a better defense than what we were last year. You know, and that
I think
goes a long way.
I think we're better coached than we were last year. Nothing against Lamar.
So Gatto's the real deal, bro.
But we got a guy who knows what he's doing, and it may take him a couple seasons to get all the guys that he needs to be in his scheme. But I agree with you. He's the real deal.
He needs the pieces to do what he wants to do.
Yep.
And I saw that tonight, and like I was like, he's a really good coach. Like we are blessed as Cajuns fans for having this guy as our defensive coordinator, because he's really talented. Whether he stays it here or not, but he's really talented. But what he's trying to do, I see what he's trying to do, but it's he don't have his pieces there to do what he wants to do, right? So we'll see what happens in the future if he can, get his pieces there and be successful doing that if he sticks around. But I think he's a very smart coach, and I think he's really talented as a defensive coordinator. If you look at who was the guy before that left with
Morgan?
No, the guy before Morgan that left with Napier.
Patrick Toney.
Tony, yeah. He's talented like Patrick Toney was, man. And I think he can make us one of the better defenses in the Sun Belt, and get the right pieces there. I think we're a little undersized on the defensive line. That's just my opinion. And we're not getting pressure off the edge like we need to. That's something that's got to change. And it's not like our guys are garbage, because our guys are not garbage. We got talented guys. They just I don't know if they're really fitting into his scheme of what he's trying to do.
Agreed.
So it's gonna be a wait and see how he develops people and brings people in.
Nova,
but watching his play calling, I love his defensive play calling.
I gotta say, man, you are appreciated not only by us but also by our listeners. They all said they love your input. So, dude, every week if you can be here, because we love hearing what you have to say, brother.
I'll try to, man. I got 2 kids, and it's hard sometimes with 2 young ones to be on here, but I appreciate being able to come here and vent with everybody else.
Love it.
It's a vent session.
Yeah.
Us, and I love it, man. I love my Cajuns, dude. I watch them every week. I was supposed to go to the game this weekend. I couldn't make it because of the storm. Screwed everything up for me, but we got the win, man, and that was a good win for this program. We got to turn that into momentum. And we got to go and dominate Southern Miss. I really think we should beat Southern Miss probably like 35-10 next week.
Agreed.
Like that should be the score next week. There's no excuse. If we lose that game, we have taken a major step back as a program.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is the year, Jerry. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, that team, their fan base is in mutiny mode right now with Will
Yeah.
Hall. They were so disappointed last Monday that he actually came on to the press conference because they thought he was going to be fired. So if there's any year to catch them, I don't know if I could get, I don't know how the situation could get any better for us as far as an opportunity goes to beat them in Hattiesburg.
They won Napier, by the way.
The only way they beat us is if their coach gets fired before we play.
Thank you, and it's not
Yeah,
going to
it's
happen.
not happening.
They're on a bye week, so we're good, man.
No
I was
chance.
worried about that.
No chance. Not a chance.
Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to fire the coach. They're going to bring in a new guy.
Agreed. Like last year, we gave the
line coach, and he's going to dominate us.
That's what happened last year, man. He gave the play calling to another guy, and then all of a sudden we didn't know how to play defense against him.
Well, look, so Wake had Forest had a bye last week. We beat them today, so hopefully we can go 2 for 2 against teams coming off buys.
I'm gonna tell you all this. Buys don't really mean crap.
Agreed.
No, I agree. I agree.
The only thing the bye week does is help if you have injuries. But your preparations is a little bit different during that bye week, where you're doing things a little bit different, but you're not truly prepping for the next opponent, so to speak. Because usually that bye week you're working on technique and other things, but the preparation for that team, you should always be preparing for your next opponent in my mindset. But just the way usually teams do it, it's try to get healed up, get guys, better, and not kill them on that bye week and then come back into game week and you're in a different mode, right? So, guys are still practicing. They're still trying to fly around with football, but you're not trying to get these guys, I guess you could say, going at 100% beating each other up during the bye week, right? So it's, I think bye weeks are overrated. I think it just helps you get healthier. That's kind of my thing on bye weeks, but it is what it is, man. I'm so happy for the Cajuns tonight. Poetic justice happened tonight, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Poetic justice happened tonight, and finally Dez got his. I'm so happy for that guy, and I'm so happy for that team, dude. Hats off to that team, dude, because they deserved it. They dominated that game, the entire game. They dominated that game.
Yep. I agree.
And they were trying, and the ref was trying to screw them out of it. But they came through and they persevered, man. And poetic justice happened tonight. So thank you guys for letting me speak. I appreciate it. Love y'all, man. Y'all keep up doing what y'all doing, man, and go Cajuns.
I appreciate you, Nova. Jerry,
Thanks, Nova.
I'm going to turn it back over to you, brother.
Yes, sir. Let's talk some stats. Let's talk some stats on the Cajuns' victory. Of course, again, Louisiana victorious over the Wake Forest Demon Deacons by the final score of 41-38. Let's do some stats. First downs, Louisiana had 24 first downs. Wake Forest had 28 first downs. Third down efficiency, Louisiana Raging Cajuns were 8 for 12 on third downs, and Wake Forest was 8 for 13 on third downs. Fourth down efficiency, Louisiana had 1 attempt and did not convert there, so they were 0 for 1. Wake Forest was 2 for 2 on fourth downs. Total offense, Louisiana Raging Cajuns had 466 yards of total offense. Wake Forest actually had a little bit more at 472, but pretty much an even game on total offense. In passing, Louisiana had 257 passing yards to Wake Forest's 254. Rushing, Louisiana had 33 rushing attempts for 209 yards on the ground to Wake Forest's 37 rushing attempts for 218 yards. Penalties, and this was a kind of a significant difference, even though we know some of it was a bunch of foolishness. Louisiana, the Cajuns were penalized 8 penalties for 83 yards. Wake Forest had 4 penalties for 36 yards.
By the way, and I have to add to that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
we
were one of the lowest penalized teams in the first 3 games of the season, and all of a sudden we have almost 100 yards of penalties. So that tells you something.
Crazy. 4 of those penalties were 60 yards combined on the targeting calls. So those were 15-yard penalties. You take that away, we would have had 4 penalties for 23 yards. Let's see what else. Turnovers, really not many turnovers. Only 1 turnover, the one by Tyree Skipper when he picked off Hank Brockmeyer in the second half. So Wake Forest had 1 turnover because of that interception, and Louisiana had no turnovers on the day. Time of possession, Wake Forest had the ball a little bit longer than Louisiana. Wake Forest had the ball for 30 minutes and 59 seconds. The Cajuns possessed the ball today, 29 minutes and 1 second. Going through a few of the individual stats, Louisiana quarterback Ben Wooldridge, 20 of 29 for 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Great day at the office for Ben. In the rushing column, Bill Davis, 13 carries, 95 yards, averaging 7.3 yards a carry and a touchdown with 1 long run, or the longest run of the day for him, at 60 yards. Running back Zylan Perry had 11 carries for 78 yards, averaging 7.1 yards a carry and no touchdowns. Also had a 30-yard run today. Great days at the office for Zylan Perry and Bill. Draylon Washington carried the ball twice for 3 yards, averaging 1.5 yards a carry. And Ben Wooldridge ran the ball 6 times for 34 yards, as well as a touchdown, including an 11-yard run on third down. In the receiving column, Lance Legendre, best day, probably his best day as a Cajun. 6 receptions, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a 48-yard touchdown strike from Ben Wooldridge. Harvey Broussard had 4 receptions for 47 yards, no touchdowns. Caden Jensen, 2 receptions for 30 yards. Terrence Carter had 1 reception for 14 yards. Robert Williams had 2 receptions for 14 yards. Jaden Johnson had 2 receptions for 14 yards. Trayvon Colbert had 1 reception for 8 yards. Jacob Bernard had 1 reception for 5 yards. And Tavion Smith, 1 reception, 2 yards. And that was the touchdown that he got in the first half. On the defensive side of the ball, Keon Martin had 9 total tackles, 5 solo. Justin Agu had 8 total tackles. 6 of those were solo, 1 tackle for a loss. What is that? Carmichael Glass? Yeah. Carmichael Glass, 7 total tackles, 5 of which were solo tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. Casey Osai, 7 tackles, 4 solo tackles, and 1 tackle for a loss. So that's just a few of the stats today. Let's go over some scores around the Sun Belt Conference. There are a few games being played, but we'll start it out once again with the victory for the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns, again, victorious over the Wake Forest Demon Deacons by the score of 41-38. And other scores around the Sun Belt Conference. Marshall defeated Western Michigan today in Huntington, West Virginia. Nice win over the MAC for the Thundering Herd. Final score, Marshall 27-20 over the Western Michigan Broncos. The battle for Georgia. Georgia Southern took care of business down in Atlanta against their arch rival, the Georgia State Panthers. Final score, Georgia Southern victorious by the score of 38-21. Also, James Madison, their offense is firing on all cylinders. Second week in a row, the Dukes have scored 60+. They defeat MAC opponent Ball State at home by the score of 63-7. James
Ball
Madison
is not a state, okay?
It is
I'm just
not a
saying.
state, and they can't score points apparently because they only hung 7. So yeah, JMU victorious over Ball State 63-7. Old Dominion goes on the road against Bowling Green out of the MAC, gets a last-second touchdown or a last-minute touchdown to get the win over the Falcons. Old Dominion victorious over Bowling Green by the final score of 30-27. Sam Houston and Texas State met in NRG Stadium in the neutral site down in Houston. Texas State jumped to a 22-0 lead, but Sam Houston clawed their way back to get the huge comeback victory over the Texas State Bobcats. Sam Houston victorious over Texas State by the final score of 40-39.
You know what, Jerry? Maybe they should start worrying about opponents this season rather than moving to another conference. How about that?
That is a good point. And
Yeah.
to Nick's point, as of today, we had breaking news that the Mountain West officially offered Texas State membership. Maybe they should think twice about that and learn how to hold
They
22.
can't even beat a CUSA team, so
Yeah,
there's that.
they're about to take away that invite after that performance today. Anyway, current scores right now. Troy and UL Monroe, they're playing down in Troy, Alabama. At the half, close game. Troy leads UL Monroe by the score of 6-3. And down in Baton Rouge, the TSAB Tigers taking on South Alabama. The Tigers lead comfortably over the South Alabama Jaguars by the score of 28-3. And last but not least, App State and Liberty, due to the extreme damage down in Boone, North Carolina, due to the effects of Hurricane Helene. App State and Liberty, the game was canceled. Right now, I know Liberty's looking for a 12th opponent. Not sure what App State's going to do, but our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Boone as well as the Carolina area, all affected by the effects of Hurricane Helene. That's going to do it for your scores around the Sun Belt, guys. A lot of action today. A lot of good football, but what matters most, 41-38. Louisiana Raging Cajuns get their first ever win in school history over an ACC opponent. And you know what? We also got a hefty paycheck on the way out too, Nick.
I'll take it, man. That'll buy a couple things for our program. Look, it doesn't matter if it's the worst team in the ACC, SEC, Big 12, Big 10. The fact that you get a win is a feather in our cap. And this was the win that we have been hoping for, Des, because we want, like, everybody. Like, did you notice every single person that came on here said, I wanted this so bad for Des, and we did.
Absolutely.
We want Des to be our guy for the next 10, 20 years. He just had to get over that hump. And you knew it wouldn't be easy. He did it tonight. So we just got to keep pushing forward, man.
No doubt about it. And you know, look, the Wake Forest Tulane matches back to back to me are probably the tougher matchups of the season. Not to say conference gets easier. In the Sun Belt, there's so much parity that you just don't know. You have to show up every game, starting with next week in Hattiesburg. You know, we laugh about how, the Southern Miss fans are all going crazy right now because of their lack of production. But at the same time, this is the same Southern Miss that has an 11-game win streak on us. So I was telling a few of my Southern Miss buddies last week, I said, look, I'm not talking trash until that clock strikes zero. When that clock strikes zero and the Cajuns are leading, I'll talk all the trash you want. But right now, I'm keeping my mouth shut, and we have to stay focused going into Hattiesburg. We cannot take that game for granted. And you, like Nova said, it's conference play. You want to start the conference with a 1-0 record. You're playing a team that got the best of you over the last 2 years, where technically we thought that we were the better team. And on top of that, again, they have an 11-game win streak on us, and we've only won one time in Hattiesburg in our entire history, and it took a 50-yard field goal to win it. So this is a great opportunity for us, and it's a great opportunity for us, really, Nick, to get on a win streak, because after that, I know I don't want to look too far ahead, but you got App State coming to Cajun Field. We need to get off to a really, really hot start in conference play.
Look, I'm just going to say, I know I shake off losses, 24-hour rule. I'm taking this one to Monday. I will take this one to Monday because We freaking earned it, dude.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Lane, what are your thoughts, man? Talk to me.
Just glad we won the game, even though it took overcoming the refs, and I'm looking forward to beating Southern Miss next week.
Let's hope. Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. We want to thank everybody who chimed in, all of you listening in, watching us on TV. We got a few text messages. We know some of you are watching us on the patio. I don't know why you want to put our pretty ugly faces on your patio, but anyway.
Your ugly face. I have a beautiful face.
Anyway. So, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you to everybody who participated with us in this post game. That's why we're here. We do it for you guys. Don't forget, if you like what we do, please like, subscribe, comment. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. You can also listen to us on Apple, iTunes, as well as Spotify. Nick, Lane, and I will be back probably sometime middle of next week to preview our upcoming game against Southern Miss down in Hattiesburg. We'll talk about what to expect against the Golden Eagles. We'll talk some Cajuns volleyball, Cajuns soccer, and everything that revolves around Raging Cajun athletics. That's going to do it for tonight. Cajuns win, baby. Final score, Louisiana. Big win over the Wake Forest Demon Deacons by the score of 41-38. Raise your glass, celebrate, have a good time tonight. It's time to have a bon ton this Saturday night with this Cajuns victory. In the words of the late, great Big Dave Thibodeau, bye, we out of here. We'll see you next week for more Raging Review. Go Cajuns. Have a good night, everybody.
Son of a gun. Elle a entré, elle pouvait pas s'empêcher de garder